"A toast," my daughter-in-law, Samantha Harrison, announced, lifting her champagne flute with that polished grin I'd come to recognize as her signature mask. "To the mother-in-law, who foots the bills but will never truly be family." Her words hung in the air like a storm cloud, heavy and ominous. The room fell into an uneasy hush, the kind where you could hear the faint clink of silverware settling on plates. My son, Michael Harrison, averted his eyes, staring intently at his dessert fork, his face flushed with discomfort as the other guests shifted in their seats, pretending to adjust napkins or sip water. I sat there, composed, my hands resting lightly on the tablecloth, observing Samantha take a delicate sip of her drink as if she'd just shared a light-hearted quip at a cocktail party. 17 years, 17 exhausting years I'd poured into this family, covering every expense, every luxury, every fabricated crisis they threw my way. And now, here she was, belittling me in front of a room full of acquaintances, treating me like an unwelcome intruder at my own supposed celebration. I drew in a steady breath, my resolve hardening. Without uttering a syllable, I reached into my handbag and withdrew a silver keychain, placing it deliberately in the middle of the table beside the envelope I'd drafted earlier that day. The keys jingled softly against the polished mahogany, a sound that reverberated with finality. Michael glanced at the keys, then unfolded the note attached, and his expression crumpled from embarrassment to outright panic. His skin blanched, turning as white as fresh fallen snow. "Mom," he whispered hoarsely, his voice trembling like a leaf in the wind, "tell me this isn't what I think it is." But I was already rising from my chair. My elegant navy blue gown whispered against the floor as I made my way to the exit, leaving behind nearly 2 decades of veiled insults masquerading as gratitude. Each heel click on the marble tiles echoed like a manifesto of self. It was the key to their sprawling home, the one I'd purchased outright, the one still titled solely in my name. And the note, concise and unyielding: "You have 45 days to vacate the premises. Formal eviction proceedings will commence thereafter. Eleanor." I recalled the day I first stepped into that house. Over 20 years ago, I was a 53-year-old widow, shattered but resilient. My world upended by the sudden loss of my husband, Charles, in a tragic boating accident. He'd left me a substantial fortune from his investments in real estate and a chain of boutique hotels that I'd helped expand during our marriage. Michael was just 23 when he wed Samantha, that charming young woman with her infectious laugh who once called me Mama Eleanor and enveloped me in hugs whenever a favor was on the horizon. At the outset, it all felt so organic. The young couple was starting out, full of ambition but short on resources. I had the wealth, they had the vision. I covered the deposit on their charming Victorian-style home in the suburbs, complete with a wraparound porch and a garden where I envisioned my future grandchildren chasing fireflies on summer evenings. Then came the upgrades: a reliable SUV because their old sedan was on its last legs and unsafe for family road trips, followed by the lavish trip to the Greek islands for their much-needed anniversary escape. After that, the student loans Samantha insisted on paying off early to clear the slate for their future. Samantha had a talent for weaving guilt into casual conversations. It must be wonderful to live without the constant weight of debt. She'd muse with a wistful sigh, her eyes gleaming with implication, and I'd oblige, pulling out my checkbook yet again, convinced I was nurturing their dreams. Over the years, I evolved into their financial lifeline. Monthly stipends of $3,000 for essentials became routine. I handled the mortgage, property taxes, home insurance, even their streaming subscriptions and spa retreats. When their children arrived, I funded the birthing center, doulas, organic baby gear, and elite preschool. I'd tallied it once, late at night, with a calculator and a glass of scotch. Over $550,000 in 17 years. Yet, genuine appreciation was as rare as a blue moon, replaced by entitlement, veiled demands, and those saccharine smiles that always preceded another urgent request. The breaking point was that ill-fated dinner party. Samantha had billed it as a grand affair to honor my 70th birthday, but the vibe was off from the moment I arrived. Her circle of socialite friends dominated the guest list, people I'd met in passing, who regarded me with a cocktail of condescension and curiosity, as if I were a relic from another era. All evening, Samantha dropped not-so-subtle barbs about overbearing elders who stifle independence, and how true families thrive on self-sufficiency. When the cake arrived, towering red velvet monstrosity, her favorite, not my preferred, lemon chiffonette, was the cherry on top of the insult sundae. And then, that toast, the moment she stripped away the facade, reducing me to a mere wallet in front of an audience. As I drove home that night, a fire ignited within me. I was no longer the grieving widow desperate for connection. I was Eleanor Thompson, a 70-year-old powerhouse who'd transformed a modest hotel chain into a multi-million-dollar empire after Charles's death. It was time to reclaim my narrative. Back in my penthouse overlooking the bustling city skyline, I poured a tumbler of aged bourbon and settled into my leather armchair by the floor-to-ceiling windows. The urban lights twinkled like distant promises, mirroring the nights I'd spent poring over balance sheets and negotiating deals. My reflection stared back, silver-streaked hair framing determined blue, eyes that had charmed investors and outmaneuvered rivals alike. I thought back to Michael's introduction of Samantha. She was 21, with cascading auburn curls and a sapphire dress that accentuated her hazel eyes. "Mom," Michael had said, his voice laced with that boyish eagerness he reserved for big asks. "Meet the love of my life, the woman who's going to make me the happiest man alive." Samantha had approached with feigned timidity, wrapping me in a warm embrace and murmuring, "I can't wait to have a mom like you in my life." How foolish I'd been to take it at face value. The early days where Samantha phoned regularly, sharing recipes, seeking advice on career moves, and inviting me to brunches where we'd bond over lattes and life stories. I'd always longed for a daughter Charles, and I had only Michael. After years of fertility struggles, Samantha seemed to fill that gap. We shopped for antiques, attended theater shows, and indulged in high tea afternoons, all on my dime, but I relished the companionship, believing it was the foundation of a real bond. When Olivia, my first granddaughter, entered the world on a crisp autumn morning, I was there, holding Samantha's hand through labor, cradling that tiny bundle with her father's dimples and my family's stubborn chin. I felt a surge of purpose. I'd do anything for her. But post-birth, the dynamic shifted. Calls turned transactional, requests for formula, cribs, or just a little help with the pediatrician bills. Lunches dwindled, always ending with a sob story about unexpected costs. 2 years later, Jacob arrived, a rambunctious boy with Samantha's curls and a laugh that could melt ice. Expenses ballooned, Montessori programs, art classes for Olivia, karate for Jacob, annual ski trips to Aspen Beach, getaways to the Maldives, all courtesy of Grandma Eleanor's generosity. Michael had quit his steady job in marketing 8 years prior, swayed by Samantha's vision of him launching a groundbreaking tech startup. Yet, progress reports were vague. I mostly saw a 40-year-old man lounging in sweatpants, binge-watching series while Samantha hosted brunches funded by my transfers. Sweatpants, binge-watching series while Samantha hosted brunches funded by my transfers. Samantha's evolution was insidious. The wide-eyed bride morphed into a entitled social climber, flaunting luxury watches that rivaled a executive's bonus, exotic facials tallying thousands quarterly, and wardrobe hauls from Milan runways. I footed it all, the ever-compliant matriarch who dreaded confrontation. Attempts at boundaries were met with masterclass manipulation. The kids deserve the best, think of their future. She'd plead, tears welling artfully, or, Michael's under so much pressure with the venture. We can't add money woes to his plate. But that night, gazing at the cityscape with bourbon in hand, epiphany struck. I wasn't cherished. I was exploited. Not family, but a funding source. Samantha's toast crystallized the truth I'd buried. To them, I was the affluent outsider, tolerated for her utility. It should have devastated me, but it emancipated me instead. I rose, retrieving files from my mahogany desk, property deeds, credit statements, transfer logs, all proof of my misplaced benevolence. Legally, everything was mine. Their opulent life, a revocable gift. I phoned my attorney, Lydia Ramirez, a sharp-witted professional who'd safeguarded my assets for 15 years. "Lydia, draft eviction notices for the Elmwood Drive residents by dawn, and prepare to revoke all ancillary credit access." A pause. "Eleanor, this is monumental." "You're certain?" "Unequivocally," I affirmed, voice steady as steel. By sunrise, I was suited in charcoal gray, my power ensemble for boardroom battles, hair in a sleek sheen. Mirror check. The formidable Eleanor Thompson stared back. "First, the bank. Cancel all recurring transfers from my primary account." The clerk verified. $3,000 monthly allowance. $1,200 luxury car lease. $600 kids active. $400 yacht club dues. Confirming, Miss Thompson. Absolutely. Next, block and cancel cards under Michael and Samantha Harrison. Passwords updated, alerts activated, Lydia called, papers ready. State law mandates 45 days for family occupants, but no rent history strengthens your position. I've flagged any cosign debts, none outstanding. My phone erupted at 9 a.m. Michael, then Samantha voicemail fodder. After 20 ignored calls, I picked up. Mom, what the hell? Michael bellowed. Samantha's card got declined at the boutique. The bank says everything's frozen. Good morning, Michael, I replied serenely. I trust you enjoyed last night in the home I own. Our home, Mom. We've built our life here. A life I've bankrolled entirely. Eviction docs en route via courier. 45 days to relocate. Stunned silence. Then please, Samantha overstepped. But this, she's sorry overstepped. She eviscerated me publicly after 17 years of my support. And you, silent as a statue. That hurts most. I disconnected. More calls silenced. At noon, I treated myself to solitude at Le Petit Bistro, my haven for escargot and quiet reflection. Book in hand, a historical novel I'd shelved for family duties. I savored the freedom. No interruptions, no pleas. The server Marie smiled. Ms. Thompson, it's been ages. All well. Reclaiming my life, I beamed. And it's exhilarating. Memories flooded. Cancelled Antarctic cruise 5 years back for Samantha's emergency. Cosmetic procedure later revealed elective. Postponed art gallery opening for Michael's surefire investment flop, a crypto scheme that vanished funds. My existence, perpetually deferred. A text from Samantha. Eleanor, let's discuss maturely. The children are destructural angers scarring them. Classic deflection. My reply, Olivia and Jacob welcome anytime. You and Michael, 45 days. Firm. Her retort, you're heartless and vindictive. Michael warned me. Laughter bubbled up, unfiltered, joyous. Their masks slipped. My chains shattered. Afternoon. Michael ambushed me in the lobby, slumped like a defeated pup. Mom, this is insane. He trailed to the elevator. Samantha's overwhelmed. Last night was a mistake. Permitting her venom while I subsidized your idol. That's the real insanity. At my door, where family, let's fix this. Family. When did you last visit sans wallet woes? Defend me. Inquire about my day. Blank stare. Precisely. I'm done being your benefactor. Sans respect. Door shut. Wine poured. City viewed. Peace reigned. Evening. Courier confirmed delivery. Dinner, solo roasted duck. Fine Merlot. Jazz vinyl. No dramas. Robert's wisdom echoed from decades past. We'd watched young Michael sulk over denied privileges. Love without boundaries breeds entitlement. He'd said, teach consequences, or regret follows. I'd dismissed it, overcompensating for our lone child. Now, clarity. My indulgence forged ingrates. A covert text. Grandma Olivia, here on friend's phone. Why's everyone upset? Do you hate us? Heartache. Darling, my love's eternal. Adults sorting messes. Come tomorrow, 3 p.m. You and Jacob only will bake cookies. Talk. Mom says, no, you're mad. Doors open. Tell Dad I'll await you too. The saga unfolded over weeks. Please turned threats. Then silence. They vacated on day 44, into a modest rental. Michael found employment. Samantha, part-time work. Grandkids visited weekly, genuine bonds forming sand strings. I traveled. Paris cafes. African safaris. Redecorated my penthouse. Hosted galas. At 70, life bloomed unfettered, authentic. The lesson, boundaries aren't barriers, they're bridges to Once upon a time in the bustling city of Seattle, there lived a woman named Alina Thompson. At 69 years old, Alina was a retired architect who had built a successful career designing elegant homes and community centers. Her life had been marked by hard work, resilience, and quiet generosity. Widowed at 49, after losing her beloved husband Henry to a sudden heart attack, Alina had poured her energy into raising her only son Marcus, and later, supporting his family. But over the years, that support had morphed into something toxic, a one-sided financial lifeline that drained her emotionally and financially. Marcus, now 39, had married Sophia at the age of 24. Sophia was a vibrant, multilingual woman with a degree in international relations, but she had never pursued a career beyond occasional freelance gigs that barely covered pocket change. Marcus, inheriting his father's knack for craftsmanship, had worked sporadically as a carpenter before deciding that life was too short to commit to a 9-to-5 grind. For the past 15 years, they had relied entirely on Elena's generosity. She paid for their spacious suburban home in Bell, their utilities, groceries, vacations, and even the private school tuition for their 2 children, Amelia, 14, and Lucas, 12. It all came to a head one fateful evening at a family gathering Alina hosted at her waterfront condo overlooking Puget Sound. The occasion was meant to celebrate Lucas's birthday, but the night devolved into chaos. Sophia, after a few too many glasses of Chardonnay, made a cutting remark in front of Elena's old colleagues and neighbors. "Alina, you're like the eternal auntie, always there with the checkbook, but never quite the mom figure, huh?" The words stung like a slap, echoing the unspoken resentment that had built up over years. Alina, who had sacrificed her social life, traveled dreams, and even her health to keep the family afloat, felt a dam break inside her. That night, after the guests left and Marcus awkwardly shuffled his family out the door, Alina sat in her study, surrounded by blueprints from her glory days. She pulled out her financial record stacks of bank statements, credit card bills, and wire transfers. The numbers were staggering, over $450,000 in the last 15 years, not counting gifts or emergencies. Tears welled in her eyes as she realized how much of her life had been siphoned away. "Enough," she whispered to herself. "This ends now." The next morning, Elena called her trusted lawyer, Harold Jenkins. Harold, a sharp-minded attorney in his late 50s with a no-nonsense demeanor, had been handling Elena's affairs since Henry's passing. "Harold, I need you to evict Marcus and Sophia from the house. It's in my name, right?" Harold paused, sensing the gravity. "Yes, Elena, it is, but are you sure? This is your family." Elena's voice was steady. "Family doesn't treat you like a bottomless wallet. They've had 15 years to stand on their own. Cancel all the credit cards linked to my accounts. Cut off the utilities I pay for, and start the eviction process. Give them 30 days. Harold sighed but agreed, promising to handle it discreetly. By noon, the changes were in motion. Alina felt a mix of liberation and guilt as she imagined the fallout. She didn't have to wait long. That afternoon, Amelia and Lucas showed up at her door unannounced, their faces pale and confused. Amelia, with her curly auburn hair and sharp green eyes inherited from Alina, spoke first. "Grandma, what's going on?" "Mom and Dad said the power went out, and the credit cards aren't working. They think it's a glitch, but it feels like more." Alina ushered them into her sunlit living room, where floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the Sound. She brewed some herbal tea and sat them down on the plush sofa. "Sit, my dears. We need to talk about something important, something your parents should have told you years ago." Over the next hour, Alina laid it all out. She explained how she had been funding their entire lifestyle since Marcus and Sophia got married. The house wasn't theirs. It was Elena's investment property. The vacations to Hawaii and Europe, paid for by her retirement savings, the fancy clothes, gadgets, and extracurriculars, all on her dime. Lucas, a thoughtful boy with a passion for soccer and video games, furrowed his brow. "But why didn't Mom and Dad work?" "Dad always says he's between projects." Alina chose her words carefully. "Your parents are capable people. Your mom speaks French, Spanish, and English fluently. She could teach or translate. Your dad grew up helping his father build houses. He knows construction inside out, but they've chosen not to work, relying on me instead. And last night, your mom said something that made me realize I can't keep enabling this." Amelia's eyes widened. "What did she say?" Alina hesitated, then shared the hurtful comment. The kids exchanged glances, a flicker of recognition in their eyes. "Mom says stuff like that sometimes," Lucas admitted quietly, "like joking about how you're our sugar grandma." Alina nodded, her heart aching. "It's not a joke when it hurts, and it's not fair to any of us. You two deserve to see what real effort looks like." The conversation deepened as Alina shared stories from her own life, how she and Henry had started with nothing, a tiny apartment in downtown Seattle, working double shifts while she studied architecture at night. "We built everything through hard work," she said. "No handouts. That's the legacy I want for you." Amelia leaned forward, intrigued. "But what if Mom and Dad can't handle it? What if we end up homeless?" Alina smiled reassuringly. "They can handle it. They're smart and healthy. Millions of families do it every day. And you too. You'll thrive learning independence." As the kids left, Lucas hugged her tightly. "Thanks for telling us the truth, Grandma." Alina watched them go, a bittersweet hope stirring in her chest. That evening, around 9 p.m., her phone rang an unknown number. She answered cautiously. "Alina, it's Sophia," came the frantic voice. "I'm calling from the neighbor's landline because everything's cut off." Alina leaned back in her armchair, gazing at the twinkling city lights. Sophia, how can I assist you? Sophia's tone was incredulous. Assist? You've ruined us. The kids are scared, the lights are out. The fridge is warming up. How could you do this to your own family? I haven't ruined anyone, Alina replied calmly. I've stopped bankrolling 2 able-bodied adults who've avoided work for 15 years. The kids deserve better than a life built on illusions. Sophia's voice cracked. But I was drunk last night. I didn't mean what I said about you not being a real mom. Alina felt a surge of old pain. You meant every word. You've thought it for years, that I'm just the lonely widow, buying affection. My regret is not seeing it sooner. Sophia pleaded. Please, let's fix this. I can apologize. We can change. Alina echoed with a wry laugh. You're not sorry for the disrespect. You're sorry the money's gone. When's the last time you called to check on me? Invited me over without a bill to discuss. Silence stretched on the line. Exactly, Alina continued. To you, I'm an ATM, not family. Last night confirmed it. The kids need stability, Sophia sobbed. They need you. They'll have me, Alina said firmly, but as a grandmother teaching values, not a financier. You're 37, Sophia agreed. Trilingual. Marcus is 39. Skilled in building, get jobs like everyone else. We can't keep this lifestyle on entry-level pay. Sophia protested. Precisely. Learn to live within means. Sophia's voice turned desperate. This is cruel, punishing us for one drunken slip. It's not punishment. It's ending complicity in your delusion. Do you know I've spent $450,000 on basics alone? Not gifts or trips, just bills. And how many thank zero genuine ones. Every appreciation was funded by me. Sophia whimpered. I didn't realize you were counting. Genuine ones. Every appreciation was funded by me. Sophia whimpered. I didn't realize you were counting. I wasn't until now. You've had 15 years of chances, years to show gratitude, contribute, respect me. Sophia begged. What must I do? Beg on my knees. What I want is impossible. My time back, my dignity. Remember those jokes at gatherings? Here comes the benefactor. They were barbs, reminding me I was the fool buying love. Sophia sobbed harder. I never saw it that way. Last night, I was wrong. You said I'd never be a real mother, Alina pressed. After 20 years of sacrifices, that's how you see me. Worthless, because I didn't birth them. Well, you're right, I'm not their mom. But their mom can't give what I have, stability from hard work. Tell the kids what, this will break them. Tell the truth, Alina advised. Explain, the house isn't yours, the lifestyle wasn't earned. Lies traumatize more than reality. I can't face this alone. You're not. You have Marcus for better or worse. Time to honor that. After hanging up, Alina poured a glass of Merlot and stepped onto her balcony. The cool evening breeze off the water felt like freedom. No more burdens. Her phone buzzed a text from Amelia. Grandma, Lucas and I talk. We get it. Can we visit Saturday? Just us. Want to know the real you. Elena's heart swelled. Absolutely, darlings. 10 pancakes and Grandpa Henry stories. She slept soundly that night, dreams unburdened. Friday brought a call from Harold. Alina, Marcus visited my office. Wants to negotiate the job in exchange for 6 months extension and card reinstatement. Alina laughed. My son bargaining for employment. Tell him, prove it with a job and first paycheck by day 29. Then, maybe 30 extra days, but cards stay off. Also, Harold added gravely, I found hidden debts. Sophia opened cards at Bloomingdale's, Neiman Marcus, and Bergdorf Goodman, using your info. $55,000 owed. Elena's stomach dropped. Fraud, borderline, we can dispute and cancel. I'll dig deeper. The betrayal hit hard, not just leeching, stealing her identity. That afternoon, Alina reconnected with an old college friend, Victoria Hayes, a retired professor living in Portland. Victoria, it's Alina. I've been in a fog, need to vent. Over a long call, Alina spilled everything. Victoria listened, then said, Alina, this isn't family dysfunction. It's abuse, financial, emotional. They've manipulated you for control. The word abuse resonated. Clarifying years of fog, Alina ended the call empowered. Over the following weeks, changes unfolded. Marcus landed a construction job, proving his mettle. Sophia started tutoring languages online. The family downsized to a modest apartment, learning budgeting. Amelia and Lucas visited often, bonding over hikes in the Olympics and Henry's adventurous tales of sailing trips and building their first home. Alina rediscovered herself, joining a book club, traveling to Europe solo, even dating a kind widower named James. The scars remained, but so did growth. In teaching her family boundaries, Alina reclaimed her life, a testament to resilience, late but profound. Her words struck a chord deep within me, finally naming the unease I'd carried for so long without knowing what to call it. For over a decade and a half, I hadn't been the benevolent pillar of a tight-knit household. No, I'd been ensnared in a web of calculated financial exploitation. And you know what makes financial abuse so profoundly devious? Victoria went on, her voice steady and knowing. It's how it twists the victim into feeling ashamed for standing up for themselves. They convince you that setting limits makes you heartless, that safeguarding your hard-earned assets is an act of betrayal, that refusing endless demands paints you as a monster unworthy of love. That's precisely how I've been tormenting myself all week, I confessed, my voice barely above a whisper. Sometimes I catch myself thinking I'm overreacting, being too severe with them. Alina, hear me out, she said firmly, leaning forward in her chair. A parent who floats their grown daughter through a tough year of job hunting, that's kindness in action. One who props her up for 5 years while she figures out her path, that's enabling complacency. But a parent bankrolling a fully capable adult daughter for 15 years, letting her indulge in extravagance without lifting a finger, that's straight up abuse, plain and simple. Her insight hit me like a sudden beam of sunlight piercing through storm clouds, illuminating the murky reality of my life over all those lost years. Victoria, may I ask you a personal question? I ventured, my heart pounding. Absolutely, she replied without hesitation. In all the time we drifted apart, did you ever puzzle over why I vanished from our circle? Truthfully, yes, she admitted, her eyes softening with memory. I often reflected on what changed. You were always so vibrant, so self-assured, full of dreams, career goals, a bustling circle of friends. Then, out of nowhere, every invitation I extended was met with excuses about family obligations. And what conclusions did you draw? I figured you'd morphed into one of those parents who surrender their entire identity to their kids. But now, piecing it together, I see it wasn't voluntary. You'd stumbled into a toxic dynamic with your own kin, one that drained you dry. That very afternoon, for the first time in 15 long years, I carved out plans that revolved solely around me, no family strings attached. Victoria suggested we attend a local theater production the next Thursday evening, and I agreed on the spot. No need to run it by anyone. No fretting over potential crises, or feigned interest in Sophia's endless theatrics. Come Sunday morning, Mia and Lucas showed up right on time, at 9:30. I'd prepared a lavish spread, fluffy waffles topped with fresh berries, crispy hash browns, sunny-side-up eggs, artisanal coffee, and a platter of tropical fruits. Yet, the true highlight was savoring the meal with my grandkids, sans the constant undercurrent of their parents' monetary gripes. Grandma Mia piped up as she drizzled syrup over her waffles. There's something I need to share. Last evening, I overheard Mom on a call with her cousin, ranting that you've lost your mind, that you're punishing us unfairly for nothing. And how does that sit with you? I asked gently, curious about her young perspective. I believe Mom's missing the point of appreciation, she replied thoughtfully. Ever since our chat the other day, Lucas and I have been discussing everything you shared. Lucas bobbed his head in eager agreement. We've come to see that we've never properly thanked you for all you've done. How does that realization make you feel? Guilty, honestly, Mia admitted, her cheeks flushing. But we've resolved to turn it around. We want to cultivate real gratitude, not just when we're in a bind. And we want to step up and earn our way, Lucas chimed in with youthful zeal. Mia's scouting for after-school tutoring gigs, and I'm thinking of walking dogs in the neighborhood to pocket some cash. I gazed at them both, a swell of authentic pride warming my chest. In one candid exchange, they'd displayed more emotional growth than their parents had in a decade and a half. You too, I said warmly, are going to navigate life just fine, regardless of your folks' choices. Really? Mia asked, her eyes wide with hope. Without a doubt, because you've grasped truths your parents sidestepped, that worthwhile pursuits demand sweat, and true respect stems from deeds, not empty promises. 6 months down the line, I found myself perched on a quaint balcony in Paris, France, gazing at the Seine as twilight bathed the historic bridges in a soft, amber glow. Before me sat a flawless espresso and a novel I'd yearned to dive into, for ages, a tale of resilience and rediscovery. For the first time in what felt like forever, my schedule was mine alone to command. The European escapade had been an impulsive choice, After offloading the boutique hotel chain that Antonio and I had nurtured from a single inn into a regional empire, I awoke to the fact that my nest egg was more than ample for my remaining days. But beyond the finances, I'd reclaimed something priceless: autonomy over my destiny. My phone buzzed with a text from Mia. "Grandma, guess what? I landed another gig now. I'm tutoring math twice weekly and assisting at the community library on weekends. I've stashed away $350 this month alone." Lucas is raking in tips from his dog walking route with Mrs. Patel. Dad's finally secured steady work at a logistics firm, and Mom's pulling shifts as a freelance graphic designer. It's odd, but we're genuinely content now, more than when everything was handed to us on a silver platter. Her update sparked a profound sense of fulfillment. My tough stance had been spotted, even if it wrenched my soul to enforce it. Marcus had reached out 3 weeks prior, breaking a 4-month silence. His tone carried a newfound gravity, stripped of the petulance I'd grown accustomed to. "Mom," he began tentatively, "I wanted to update you. I've started at Vanguard Logistics as a warehouse associate. It's entry level, but my supervisor mentions advancement if I prove my mettle." "That's wonderful news, son," I responded sincerely. "I owe you an apology too, not just for recent events, but for the wasted years. You were I'm a 42-year-old who never matured because I always banked on you bailing me out." "And how's it feel tackling life solo?" "Daunting," he chuckled ruefully, "but also empowering, in a way. Cashing that first paycheck, it hit different knowing I'd earned every cent through my own grind." "Sophia's having a tougher go, still harboring resentment, convinced you were overly punitive, but she's hustling, and the kids look up to her more, seeing her hustle firsthand. It's heartening to know the family's pulling their weight." "Mom, one more thing. Do you think full reconciliation is possible? Can we ever be a functional unit again?" I pondered deeply before answering. "Marcus, forgiveness isn't a one-off decree. It's forged through sustained effort and mutual esteem. Keep demonstrating growth, honor my boundaries, and shoulder your responsibilities. Then yes, we can mend fences. But the handouts, their history, I'll support in smarter ways. Educational boosts for the grandkids, legitimate health crises, or matching funds if you've shown diligence in saving toward milestones, but no more subsidizing able-bodied adults who opt for idleness." Now, lounging in that Parisian cafe, I replayed our dialogue with a contented grin. Half a year since severing the financial umbilical cord, and my loved ones hadn't merely endured, they'd blossomed in realms unimaginable under my perpetual patronage. My advisor, Alina, had emailed a progress update just days ago. Marcus had clinched 2 promotions in 4 months, praised for his reliability and initiative. Sophia had pivoted to full-time at a design studio, earning accolades for her creativity. The kids were flourishing in their new public school. Mia had joined the debate club and was mentoring peers, while Lucas excelled on the track team, building camaraderie and discipline. Crucially, they'd mastered fiscal restraint. They'd traded Sophia's flashy SUV for a dependable compact, downsized to a modest 3-bedroom townhouse funded by their earnings, and embraced home-cooked meals over lavish dining. They'd unearthed joy in simplicity: family bike rides along the river trail, backyard barbecues with neighbors, board game marathons filled with laughter. Mia confided during one of our bi-weekly video calls, "Grandma, it's surreal, but I'm starting to grasp what family truly means. Back when luxuries flowed freely, nothing held value. Now splurging on ice cream after a long week, it's a genuine treat, a moment we savor together." That evolution reaffirmed my resolve. My grandkids were internalizing life lessons that would anchor them: the dignity of labor, the thrill of self-reliance, the essence of thankfulness, and discerning essentials from EXTRAVAGA and CES. As for myself, these 6 months unveiled facets I'd long buried. I'd rediscovered my essence, beyond being a walking wallet, rekindling bonds with long-lost companions, delving into passions like painting and gardening I'd shelved eons ago, and wandering destinations from my bucket list, like the charming streets of Montmartre and the grandeur of Versailles. Above all, I'd reclaimed my self-worth. That evening in Paris, as the Eiffel Tower twinkled against the night sky, I dialed Victoria. "How's the City of Light treating you?" she inquired, her enthusiasm palpable. "It's been a revelation, but Victoria, I'm itching to head back. Bored of Parisian splendor already." "Hardly, it's the opposite. I've rebuilt my confidence so solidly that escaping my past no longer appeals. I'm geared up to craft a fresh chapter stateside, one where I'm the star, not the perpetual benefactor. And your clan, they're not just coping, they're excelling, far beyond their dependent days. Upon my return, our dynamic and your clan, they're not just coping, they're excelling, far beyond their dependent days. Upon my return, our dynamic will shift, rooted in equity and authentic affection, free from monetary strings. Later that night, in my boutique hotel suite, with views of the Louvre, I dusted off an old leather-bound journal and penned my thoughts for the first time in ages. Today marks my 68th birthday, amid one of the world's most romantic cities, yet the true wonders aren't the masterpieces in museums or the Seine's serene flow. It's the profound reclaiming of my autonomy. For 15 years, I faded into obscurity, existing merely as a resource for those who undervalued me. I fancied myself a devoted matriarch, but I was failing as a mentor of resilience. Now, my grandkids buzz with tales of their accomplishments, not pleas for funds. My daughter speaks with earned respect, having tasted independence. My son-in-law is awakening to the fact that genuine parenting involves instilling accountability, not outsourcing it. For the first time in forever, I'm unbound. This isn't vengeance, it's emancipation. Not harshness, but resolute compassion, the type that wields no as a tool for growth. Tomorrow, I fly home, but not as the weary woman who bolted from a degrading family gathering half a year back. I return as Alina Ramirez, trailblazing entrepreneur, self-reliant spirit, affectionate yet steadfast grandma, and most vitally, a soul who no longer barters for affection. Because I've internalized the ultimate truth. Affection purchased at any price is a counterfeit bargain. I sealed the journal and lingered by the window, absorbing the city's nocturnal hum one final time. The odyssey ahead promised renewal. Armed with the irreplaceable treasure, I'd unearth far surpassing the fortunes squandered in misguided largesse, my unassailable dignity, forever mine to guard.